Awesome. Thank you all for joining. I'm super excited to be on this call with you. Thank you for joining me today. I know you're all busy, and so you're taking a bit of time out of your day, out of your schedule to tune in. And so I'm thrilled to have you here. I'm going to make sure that over the next 20, 30, 45 minutes, I'm giving you as much value as I can. And so out of this today, you should be able to walk out with something tangible that you can put into action right away. And so, just a quick intro. I am Kyle Barnholt from TrueUp. I am the CEO and one of the co-founders, and we help our software system help CPG brands manage their deductions and trade spend to maximize profit and growth in their business. And so today, my goal, as I mentioned, is going to be to walk you through our deduction mastery framework. And we're going to actually hone in directly to one of the topics today, which is to categorize. And so, in terms of the agenda, I'm going to do a quick just story to kind of help you understand where is this coming from, why am I telling you about a process that I've used, and then from there, I'll make sure to refresh us on the framework. I will dive into the categories. We've got 5 key pillars to enable you to be able to create this report that I'm going to show you today. And then from there, we will have a Q&A. And if it's all right with you, I will show you how you can do this in a more streamlined, automated way at the end of the call. So hopefully that works for everyone. Again, appreciate you being here. Again, make sure you got a pen, paper, water. I'm going to share my screen. While I do that, feel free to put some comments in the session, in the notes below. Let us know you're ready to rock and that you can hear me well. All right, just going to get myself connected and we will get going. Awesome. All right. So first, as I mentioned, I want to just give you a little background on myself, give you a little bit of a story that helps maybe give you some context into what we're talking about here today. So I am Kyle Barnholt again. I spent 15 years, almost 15 years at Hain Celestial, a large publicly traded company, 30, 40 brands at the time, over 1,000 SKUs. I was honored to work there and have that chance to really learn so much. And so I'll talk a little bit about that experience. And then after that, I was fortunate enough to lead the team here in the North America business for a New Zealand-based company, also a great brand, smaller scale than Hain. And so I had a chance to kind of see and experience both large organization and small. And in that, I saw how deductions impacted us. And it was similar as it was the big company and the small company. I may have had more resources at the large company, but at the end of the day, the challenges were still the same. And so just a quick story. Early on in my career, I was managing a region. I had some distributors and retailers in that region. And with some of the distributors that I managed, not all of the trade dollars that would come through in deductions were something that I was personally planning. We had other regional managers in the business. And so as those deductions would come back through, we got into a situation where, it was like, what's happening? Where's it coming from? We're trying to kind of peel back the onion. And unfortunately, we got to the point in that fiscal year, we were about 6 months in, where, I was starting to get questions that I couldn't answer. I was starting to have my own types of questions around the deductions and the trade on, what's going on? How do we influence this? Is it going in the right way? Are we happy with this? Are we not? And we were overspent and we were under delivering. And so we had a moment in time where we needed to make a decision. We had to kind of put our pedal to the metal, and we decided we're going to roll up our sleeves. We're going to put on our steel toe boots, and we're really going to dive into this thing. And so we actually created a report that I'll talk about today, where we had the categories of the deductions kind of along that the side of the screen, and then we had the month over month view across the top. And in doing this, we were able to really identify what was happening, where the spend was coming from, what we could influence and manage. And it was a game changer for us. We actually went on that year to underspend the trade spend budget. We were able to drive growth in the business and achieve our goal. We exceeded our top line number, and that was all good. And a lot of those questions we had were answered. And so that's my goal here today. And over the next 20-25 minutes, I'm going to work to give you something tangible that you can walk away with and you can implement as an outcome of your time and in your investment to be here with me. So with that, let's just talk a little bit about the problem. And I did kind of just outline it, but let's get a little more granular. So the problem that we're talking about is, and it doesn't matter if it's a distributor or a retailer, all of these accounts that we sell to directly as CPG brands have deductions, right? There's fees, there's promotions that you're running, which are good to ensure that your product's moving off the shelf. So there's all these things happening in the business. They come back through in deductions, and they either look the same, they've got keys or codes that are really hard to understand, or the documentation itself is really hard to work with. And so that's the problem. What ends up happening is you start to kind of address these things, and then maybe someone leaves the organization and you start to kind of lose some of that insight that you were learning. And so it just becomes a challenge. And my promise, as I mentioned earlier, my promise today is to make sure that you leave with something tangible that you can implement in your business, and you can start to see results almost immediately. Okay. And so we're going to make sure that we do that. While I do that, towards the end, if you'll give me permission, I'll show you a way that you can do this kind of 10x the speed, get it automated, do it easily. And so I'll spend the next couple minutes walking you through the framework, showing you the 5 pillars to success, and then we'll get into some Q&A. So let me scroll down here, and I'm going to just remind us quickly on the framework. All right. So it's the Deduction Mastery Framework. And there's 3 key components to this framework. We're going to hone in on one of them today, but we're actually going to be doing a series over the course of the next couple of weeks that hones in on each one, gives you real tangible things that you can do as an outcome, and that'll all be free. So we're going to, within the framework, you got Categorize. Oops. Then we got Insights. And I like to think about this as not just insights, but also knowledge. And then we have root cause. Think root cause analysis. Think what went on. Why did this happen? How do we address it? And that leads to action. So it's a little bit like this. And today we are going to lean into Categorize, as I've mentioned. So super excited. Again, get your pencils and pens ready, some paper, and we're going to go ahead and dive right in. So as I mentioned, there's 5 pillars to success within the Categorize portion of the Deduction Mastery Framework. And let's get a color here that stands out. Categorize. See, I can spell that. I was just a little distracted. So now we'll talk through the first one, the first component of this is the definition key. Okay. And the definition key, this is going to be something that we get from our accounts that we're selling to directly. It could be a key, it could be a definition guide. It will be associated with these deductions. It gives you insights and information into what's happening. And if you get, so the first thing you need to do is get your hands on that key. And so we're going to seek that out. And it's going to be published by your account. As I mentioned. And I like to say, let's go ahead and start a process to save this in a share drive. And that way, as we go, you'll see how that share drive becomes, a key component to how you're managing your deductions and some best practices. So the hot tip that I've got for you here is let's start with one account. It's not quite the 80-20 rule, but think about it the same way. Let's get one account, let's dial it in. We can figure out kind of what's going on, make it work. Once we get something that's working, we can then move on and do this for others. So the next key component to this is to list of deductions. So we want to get a list of our deductions, and really the key here is you can get this, right? So what's the source is either a portal, email, or contact at the account. So with the account, the one we're going to start with, there's going to be a portal that you can tap into, an email address they're sending them from, or there's going to be a contact you can reach out to. And we want to get a list of our deductions, and ideally our time frame. Sorry guys. All right, is 3, 6, or 12 months. And so the key here is the more we have, obviously, the better off we're going to be in terms of, the data that we have and the insights we can glean. But starting with 3 can kind of get you going, and then you can tag on to that as a follow-up, adding 6 and 12 months, and then stack on top of that as you go. There is going to be some critical content or content that we're going to want to be in there. You're going to want the invoice number of the deduction, the dollar amount, the date, and any other relevant information. So it's going to be a list, deductions down the left side most likely, with details about that individual deduction. And we're going to have that in hopefully some kind of Excel format. And again, we're going to start with one account. And no, the hot tips are not going to be the same across. This is not going to be like a Fight Club scenario where there's one rule. I'm going to have a couple other tips for you as we go, but the first 2 are, let's hone in on one, let's get it right, and then we can bring this and go across our business to do this with some other accounts. So the next item, pillar number 3, is to decipher and categorize. Okay, so we want to be able to decipher and categorize that list of deductions. And if you've ever done this with maybe like your own personal expenses, with your bank account record, or you've done it in your own business through QuickBooks as it relates to, maybe going to a trade show or travel, like think about that type of list. And then we're going to add a column in that list, and we're going to be categorizing those deductions. And we're going to do that by utilizing the key that we've already gotten from step 1. And so creating this kind of report with categorization and making sure that that categorization is kind of streamlined. It's something that you'll continue to use for those types of deductions going forward is going to be a key component as well. So here we want to kind of have a format. Which is a spreadsheet. And then the outline is going to be, like I said, invoice number, dollar amount, and then we're going to add category. So we're essentially adding the category, and that's going to help us to kind of get this report that I'm talking about, and we'll talk through the monthly, month on month in one moment. So the hot tip here is there are some key categories that are kind of synonymous across the industry. And so the ones I like to think about are promotion, ads, placement, spoils, logistics, fines or fees, shortages, fair share, and a couple other, but those are going to be kind of your largest items that you're going to, your largest categories that you can use as like an overarching category. And if we're getting them into those, we're getting pretty darn close to having like everything captured in a way that you're going to be able to intuitively understand what is happening in the business. And so with that, we're going to want to create a month over month report. Okay. And that month over month report is going to be what we're going to use as an output of that list we've created with the categorization. You can likely create it as a pivot now. But this is going to be, so again, format. I like to use pivot. You can do it manually at first and just go category down the side, month across the top. And so you're going to have, like I just said, I like to think about horizontal as your months, and then vertical as your categories. And each line is going to be its own category. So promotion, spoil, shortage, right? You're going to put the dollar amount in the month of January and February, and then you're going to be able to see your trends. And that is the unlock. We're trying to find leverage in our business every day to drive growth, to ensure that, you know, we're making money and being able to reinvest that into the brand, drive growth, get more pulls off the shelf. And this is going to help you do this. This is your leverage. This is your unlock. It gives you those insights. And so my hot tip here is, as you go, best practice is to capture. So you're probably not going to start here, but you're going to want to get to capturing the retailer and the items. And if you can get to that level, we're cooking with gas. We've got enough information to be able to be super dangerous, manage our business at a granularity that probably 1% of the industry is doing today as it relates to deductions. And this is going to be that 1% are the guys who are winning and have the competitive advantage. So finally, step 5 is going to be update monthly. So the key now is don't just create this and let it go. We got to get into a rhythm of creating this monthly, updating it monthly, sharing it within your organization. You don't want to do this alone. If you're a solo founder, you might have to at first, but eventually you're going to grow and get sales folks. You're going to have a broker. You'll have your accounting folks. You might be one of the accounting folks, so you can now share with your sales team, your executive team. So we want to cross collaborate with this. So you've created the monthly report, and this is where I want to make sure we're putting it in the share drive. So I mentioned this early on, but we got to get it into a share drive. We update it. I like to update at least monthly, but you could do bi-weekly and weekly. And if you do that, it's going to become a rhythm where it's week in and week out. You're doing it, you're getting the information in there, and you're not having to spend a bunch of time at the end of the month. But that might be how we start, and that is okay. So the big call out here is to, as I said, include stakeholders, give them visibility, because if you're transportation, customer service, ops team has visibility to any of those shortages or late fees and intel into what they can do to address it. That's only going to help you manage this business and grow to become that brand that you want to create in the industry. And then we're going to have our share drive. All right. So those are the 5 pillars to this categorization within our deduction mastery framework. And if you take this and implement this today, I'm telling you, you can get a report that will just blow your mind. It blows the doors off how we can analyze our business, how we can maybe save money to reinvest into other events that are working trade versus non-working trade. And so, as I said, we will continue to have a series here today, this next month, and walk you through. Now, next would be insights, the knowledge element, the root cause, and then the action. So stay tuned. I'm not done. We are going to also go into a Q&A, I believe, assuming we can get that going with a live audience. And so here, I want to just share with you. So I mentioned at the beginning that may I have your blessing to share a way you can do this faster, 10x your results, automate it. And so with TrueUp, the magic of TrueUp is we take those deduction documents for you, we digitize them, we categorize them. So once we've digitized, we bump against a store list, your item list, and a category list, and we create this reporting that you just saw at a very reasonable price, allowing you to be able to get that information you need to drive the business forward. So this helps you kind of visualize how you can go from maybe a 500-page PDF to 5 lines of data. And here's what's relevant to today's conversation is this flexible reporting. So right here, still got my eraser on. Right here is what I just showed you. You can create this in Excel today and get the results that you want. You can also take this and you can also work with TrueUp. We can do that automatically for you. It's automated, daily, available. And you can click into every single row, every single category, kind of go in, understand what's happening with your business. We also go in by retailer, by item. We bump shipment reporting off of it so you can see your trade spend dollars. So kind of sky's the limit. But if you wanted to see this live and in action with your business, we will be doing demos. So you can set up a personalized demo with my team. Someone will be in touch. I'm putting my and Eric's information here. you can email me directly, reach out to Eric, and from there we can do a demo with your data and help you really understand, hey, what's the output of this? How do we leverage this in our business to get the results we want? And so, look, I really appreciate you joining here today. As it relates to Q&A, we will follow the chat and try to get some questions in there and some answers at this stage. I just appreciate you. I hope you have a great weekend, great 4th of July, and thanks for taking the time to join me this morning.